Hey guys, Santiago here with Rogue Van Company. Our first video in our new showroom in Carlsbad. We're gonna do a full walkthrough video on our Legends Rally van. It's gonna be awesome, check it out. So the whole concept behind this van is we were doing the Legends Rally. It's a rally that happens in the early spring. It goes from San Diego all the way to Zion. It's an awesome rally, shout out to the Legends guys. It's hosted by Daniel Mack. The whole idea is it's like a supercar, hypercar, sports car rally. All the people on there are just kind of doing crazy stuff. They've got really cool rigs. We wanted to make a chase vehicle that could support the rally. We brought two vans out. This was like the centerpiece for what we were bringing. And we wanted to kind of dive into the idea of like racing, off-road, F1. We wanted to do something kind of Euro, kind of flashy. The whole idea was, okay, what is a van really going to be doing out in the Dakar? What is a van going to be doing, on a racetrack? And we centered around this livery that we sort of found inspired by a lot of the support vehicles, especially in the Dakar and those different types of off-road, desert races. You've got the red, you've got the black, you've got the gold. You see that a lot repeated, especially during the 90s and some of like the most iconic Dakar races. And so anyway, we put it all together and we made it a little bit crazy. We made it a little wild. We made it pretty rogue. Let's talk a little bit about our front end. We already know we've got this rad gold AMG bumper, big, makes a statement, call it the Persian Stormtrooper. We've got our matching AMG grille. We've painted a lot of these components. We've got black, we've got red, we've got gold. That stays consistent throughout the build. We've got our Van Compass floating light pod mounts. We modified this so that they could accommodate that. We've got our LP9 Pros over here with the amber backlight. Moving up the stripe, we've got little Squadron Pros in amber as well on our Van Compass ditch light mounts. And then up top, we've got a big Onyx 52-inch straight combo light bar. We've got our S2s on our 360 configurations. Complemented, of course, by our aftermarket Alpharex headlights. This is a big collab that Alpharex and Alvans did. They're really cool. I like the action on the turn signal. I like the running lights, the lenses, the projectors. I think they're really awesome and they're a really fun upgrade if you're looking for something new and different on your van. With all these things on, you can light up the whole peripheral that you're in and see a lot of different things in a lot of adverse conditions. So we've got these 35-inch Continental terrain contacts sitting on our gold wheels. We've got the Van Compass 6.3 kits. This is giving us the lift to fit these 35-inch wheels and tires. We've got our X-Bull by our friends at RE Global fender flares. This really ties off the look, kind of gives it a sportier, wide body kind of stance. Really complements the gold AMG bumper that we have on the front. We've got all our classic decals and logos for the Rogue Palisade Dakar edition that we made special for the Legends Rally. This combination is super compelling on-road, but sincerely compelling off-road. It does really well on both. I find that the slightly less aggressive tires actually do very well on trail. Again, this isn't going to be like a rock crawling vehicle because let's be honest, most vans are not for really serious rock crawling. I think that this tire is actually pretty incredible and it does a really good job. During the rally, we actually went on some Jeep trails and people were looking at us like we were crazy. So over here, we've got our Owl Vans ladder tire carrier combo on the rear driver door. You can see we've got the double stripe here, again, kind of echoing our Dakar inspired sort of helper livery. Legends Rally 2025 Rogue Palisade Dakar Edition. And again, a lot of our vans are really over the top, let's be honest, and they've got a lot of exterior accessories. We wanted to go with something that was flashy and interesting, but also pretty sporty and, more simple and lightweight. So this van doesn't necessarily have the crazy cornucopia of exterior accessories that you're kind of used to seeing, but I think it's tasteful, so we're going to keep going. On the side here, you can see that we've got our AMP research steps, driver and passenger. The idea here is you open the door, drops down, it's super convenient. Also doesn't get caught up on rocks and stuff. Not necessarily the same protector as, a fixed side step, but I think it's a classy option and it kind of goes with the sort of Euro upscale vibe that we're going with. And then if we switch over here, we can see we've got our CR130 isotherm fridge. This is our classic Palisade layout. So we've got the forward-facing fridge, we've got a drawer right here, which you would typically put like silverware and stuff like that, or if you want a countertop stove, you would store your stove right here. It's got a latch, it's also on click lock slides, and let's see what the rest of the interior has. So this shower is super typical of our Palisade layout. It's probably the best-in-class shower that you could possibly get. It's 40 inches wide, which is really big, especially for a 144. It has a Nautilus door, super easy to use, click locks in place, slides, pretty effortless. We've got a Laveo dry flush toilet. This is totally removable. However, you can actually fit in here and shower pretty reasonably, even if you're a big guy like me. A lot of our customers choose to put this in a pocket that deploys from the wall. That's another option. Some of our customers request to have this mounted underneath the shower as well because they'd rather stand farther away. These are all things that we can do. Or if you want, you can just take this out, pop it out, and then you have a big shower that you can use anytime. So our shower and sink combo here are complemented by an S&B Filters 37-gallon freshwater tank that's spare tire mounted. Of course, we do tank pad heaters on all of these so that if they're in winter conditions, they're thermostatically controlled, they're not going to freeze. We've got our gray water tank, which is also an S&B Filters 22-gallon gray water tank. Those make your systems pretty easy to replicate and take care of in the wintertime. All of those are hooked up to our Victron screen right here. That's going to give us tank monitoring, so you always have your levels on display. And again, one of the things that I really want to highlight is this is a Rogue Palisade. This is probably one of the vans that we built the most of. A lot of people know us for our, over-the-top designs, but we do have a long line of customers that have just bought what I would consider complete and nice, but relatively simple builds, and this is a really good example of that. This is our production work. This is the kind of thing that we have a lower lead time on, the type of thing that we would, get you a little bit quicker than our full-end custom work. They're still super complete. They're really nice. You can tell they've got a lot of cool lighting and features. However, I would say that this is on the simpler end of what we do, and it's still really nice. Up top here, we have our classic upper design. You can see that these are backless. You've got this beautiful blue pine. This is a beetle kill pine. The reason why they call it that is there's an invasive beetle species that's killing pine trees all over this country. This is a byproduct of that. That's what gives it this cool blue-gray kind of coloring. This is Lineapol, which is a product from the Netherlands. It's a really nice material. It's not laminate. It's actually a real wood veneer with a phenolic backer. These are very well made. They are very solid. They're going to last a long time, and there's a really nice style. We've got these Blum hinges that we put in all of our upper cabinets. That gives you just like that nice solid opening. What we choose to do is we do a hardware-less design on a lot of our upper cabinets. So you'll see right here there's a routed groove cut into the cabinet so that when you go to open it, you don't need hardware in your way. We like to give the van an open feeling. So one of the things that we always do with our upper cabinets is we actually angle them away from the user. You'll see up top here there's a greater than, and up here it's lesser than. So we got this from the airline industry. We've talked about this in some other videos. I personally really like our uppers. I think that they're very elegant. I think that the way that we match our faces up is really nice. I like how big and open it feels in here when you've got these upper cabinets closed especially. It feels really natural. The way that they fall away from you gives you a really nice feel. So we go and open these. The Blum hinges are set with some really, really taut action. So when you open them up, if you were to let go, there's a decent amount of force there. What that does is it inhibits these from, rattling or opening when you're driving because there's a good amount of tensile strength. Underneath, we always have our dimmable lights. You can see my hand very naturally finds that. You long press and it dims. You short press and it resets on off. We always do these. We always do these inset tracks. This is just one of the key signature features. Moving on down, we've got these large, bigger than 1033 size, but awning windows. Open them up here, not awning windows, but sliding windows. You just move them open. You got a screen here. There's a latch here. We like to do all of our upholstery matching, so as you can tell, our window covers match our cushions down here. RGB lighting on our bench backs, integrated 120-volt outlet, 4-stack of direct USBs. We also do USB-C directs. We've got dimmable lights on the ceiling, on off, 3-way switch, so if you come over here on the other side of the bench, you can turn the lights on and off from 2 different positions. So this is an older van for us. I don't know if I mentioned it earlier, but this is actually a customer van that we built in the beginning of 2024. They ended up trading it back into us. We repurposed it to be the Legends van. It has about 30,000 miles and it is for sale. It's on our website. You can check out the listing. The reason why I mention that is because we are always constantly iterating and changing. You'll notice that the wheel wells are not upholstered. You'll also notice that some of the power components here are different than what we use right now. It still has a full Victron suite. It still has a 2000 multi-watt multi-plus. It's got Victron 100-30 charge controller. It has alternator charging. It's got these Blue Sea 120 volt circuit breakers. And then we have a run of thermal breakers here, which are pretty handy. We have a shunt, smart shunt by Victron. And then we have a 12 volt Blue Sea fuse block, RGB control, and a couple other things. This is a pretty basic system. It is still a full Victron system, and it still has a servo. It still does tank monitoring and all that good stuff. It's not 48 volt, it's 12 volt, but it's complete. And you still have nice features that we always do. Over here, you've got our little proximity sensor. So if you open the bench, the lights turn on. We have our little bench ledgers that live right in here. What that does is it allows you to create a bench bed setup over here. So you just pop these out, combine them with the table, and you've got a bed. You can see, even though we've got our full electrical system in here with 800 amp hours, we still have a lot of space inside of the bench. So you're able to store a lot of things in here. And when we pop over to the other side and look at the water and HVAC, it's the same. So this is our systems benches with the HVAC and plumbing components. We've got our water pump and accumulator on that side, all of our PEX connections, the water tank fills, and the city water line on that end. You can see our outdoor shower towards the rear. We also have a Eberspacher Aqua system. This is pretty similar to the Rixson system. Of course, Rixson's uses Eberspacher burners. However, this is like a complete system, similar to Rixson's, but it's one manufactured by Eberspacher. It has dual zone heating. It also has a mixing valve, and it has an instant water to glycol heat exchanger. This is set up so that you have a closed loop system. It's glycol, which is just like the coolant that you put in your engine. The diesel burner heats it up. It takes it through a series of heat exchangers. The air heat exchangers have fans on the back of them, and it's basically like running it through a grill. So you have hot air being run through this grill. What's nice about that is that it's not a dry burn. This is a radiant style heat, right? So these are kind of like radiant registers. And when the fans are blown across these coils, you're creating heat. However, you're not creating dry furnace heat. Similar with the water, you have a series of very thinly stacked brazed plates. Half of those plates and the overlap stack are filled with the hot glycol. Half of those plates are filled with water that's being pressurized and pumped through. It's pretty amazing, actually, when you see it and to understand how it works. You wouldn't think that that is capable of instantly heating that water, but it really is, because those plates are so thin and so small that when the glycol comes into contact with the water, it can't help but become superheated and shoot out super hot. So, of course, we always want to do really complete systems like this for vans that have full-time showers. It's a big aspect behind, what's going to make a van super livable long-term and what's not. You definitely want a system like this if you're going to be taking showers regularly. You don't want a system that's really wasteful of power. You want something that's going to give you a lot of long-term use, and a system like this is perfect for that. So these, again, are our systems benches. We've got a lot of storage in here as well, just like on the electrical side. Everything's very tight and flush to the walls and flush to the sides. Yeah, let's check out some more stuff. So I'm sitting in our passenger side swivel seat. We've got our bulkhead that we always put in all our builds. It gives a clean ending to all of our siding. We've got the driver's seat, which is pretty well covered up by the shower. And then up above me, if you can see it, is where we like to put our cruising comforts. We have an in-cab shelf, followed by a fascia that we make. We put the blower up there. Got all of our drain lines and everything run through the A and B pillars. We've got the rest of the components under the seat base and under the van. It makes for a super efficient way. We actually retrofitted this van with the cruising comfort. It didn't come this way, but it's awesome. We do it in a lot of our builds. It's a perfect place to put it. Shout out to Cruising Comfort. They do a great job. So guys, this has been our Legends Rally Rogue Palisade Dakar Edition. Again, the Palisade is one of our most built models. It's simple, it's effective, it gets the job done. This van is for sale. If you want to go to our website, it is in the Available Now section. We would like to sell it before the end of the season so that we can build another cool show rig. So this was a tour. I appreciate you guys coming and checking it out. We are at our new Carlsbad HQ headquarters. We're gonna be pushing a lot of really cool announcements. Hopefully have our grand opening here soon. Stay tuned for all the cool events and updates.